antibiotics in critically ill patients. What's happening in hospital? The patient is admitted in the ICU for any ailment, but after 5-6 days you find everybody is getting antibiotic, irrespective of whether the person was admitted for an infection or not. Now what's happening? He is getting infection from due to all the intravenous catheters, tubings, or that environment, and then ultimately become the more critical because of the presence of infection. So I would like to highlight what are the issues these, as a doctor, how to control and how to overcome those issues, and what are the special consideration for the antibiotic use in those critically ill patients. What are those scientific justification? And some of this, we have done some of the study in the critically ill patient. I will also present those data. What was the outcome of those data? So broadly speaking, any infection happens if in the critically ill patient, then the clinical outcome is very poor. And another important issue is that all these critically ill patients, some of the pharmacokinetic parameters are altered. So if you don't consider both the things together, most of the time your treatment will be suboptimal. I remember clinicians are very intolerant when you critically analyze their antibiotic use and to show that your improper use of antibiotics causing the more mortality and morbidity in the ICU patient. And that was one of the research where I presented those papers to the first initially to the medical student, and then there was a real fight going on between our department and the ICU department. So even the ICU head say that no, I will not take over the ICU department. Let this go out. So sometimes this happens. We understand what are the realities and what practically we have to manage with. So incidence is always high whether the patient is admitted. But one of the most important part is that the patients who get the infection in the ICU, you will find those microbes become the less susceptible to the conventional doses of antibiotics. So that is the problematic. That means apart from altered pharmacokinetic, you have to take the consideration now, you have to give a more vigorous administration, more higher doses administration of the antibiotic needed in the ICU infection. Same infection in the non-ICU patient, you may use a lesser dose, but the same drug in ICU patient, you may need a higher dose. Therefore, you have to change the conventional dosing strategy in the ICU patient, because normal doses are unlikely to achieve the required antibiotic effect in those patients. So this is we all know it, that for effective antibiotic dosing, the early and effective appropriate antibiotic therapy is a significant determinant of clinical outcome. A lot of research articles are there which clearly demonstrate that as early you start antibiotic in the ICU patient, the clinical outcome is better. And any ineffective and inappropriate therapy is practically useless. So basically, antibiotic dosing, if you want to increase the dose, so you have to, your idea is to maximize the bacterial killing rate and minimize the antibiotic development of resistance, and also toxicity, because now you are going to increase the dose, and also because of some organ rearrangement is also there in critical ill patient. It may be fatigue or renal, so the chances of drug toxicity are more in that the patients. So if you look at this all-cause mortality in those patients who are appropriately treated with antibiotics and not appropriately treated with antibiotics, you find the clear-cut effect of the appropriate use of the antibiotics in the critical ill patients. So what the ISDA guideline and APS guideline say the selection of initial appropriate antibiotic therapy, getting the antibiotic treatment right, and the first time is an important aspect of care for hospitalized patient with serious. Now, if you look at here, this is the beta-lactam variability of consultation in the ICU patient. The large variation in the pharmacokinetic parameters. The range is quite high. So that means all the patients, if you do the kinetic study, you find different kind of kinetic data. So what I want to say that the three players are there to control the infection. One is bug, one is drug, and one is mug. Mug is the body, where the bug is also there and drug is also there. So how big is bug and what is the size of the bug? It all depends upon what is the volume of distribution, what has changed, what happens, and what drug you have selected, and then which is the bug actually. How sensitive is that to the drug, and whether he survives in the mug or not, or the drug is able to kill the bug in mug. So it all depends on that. So let us say what happens in the pharmacokinetic and the critically ill patient. So before you take the decision, a doctor takes a decision to give an appropriate, what he considers an appropriate antibiotic to the patient. Some of the critical kinetic rearrangement which are possible, he must consider into that. Now, those could be, if you look at the sepsis cases, there is a systemic inflammatory response reaction, SIRS, systemic inflammatory response reaction in the case of sepsis, which cause the permeability to leak. So there is a lot of fluid which exercises from the central part to the peripheral part. Alter protein binding is there, and these two things cause the increased clearance and increased volume of distribution, because now you want to give the more intravenous fluid to the person because of the decrease in the central component of the fluid. Sometimes there is a augmented renal clearance. Central part is augmented renal clearance. So there is already increased clearance of the drugs. This was very peculiar type of study I did in '95. I was not knowing it happens in the sometime acute illness, the increased clearance may be there. But what happens in the one patient when I did presenting study? So suddenly I found that the renal clearance was increased dramatically, and the half-life shortened like anything, and then the drug was not sufficient to treat the one patient. Then we find out from the literature that okay, in those one patient, initial fight, there is a hyperdynamic state of the body. So more blood is getting circulated throughout the circulation, and that is causing the more renal clearance of the blood, and the concentration achieving was not sufficient. So in that case, either you have to give the intravenous infusion or give the more frequently the dosage. So sometimes those are very peculiar things. We consider that okay, volume of distribution will increase. If the volume of distribution increase, that means those drugs which are the water soluble, their volume of distribution is going to increase. But drugs which are lipid soluble, their volume of distribution is not going to increase. So these considerations are kept in mind. Then sometimes there will be organ dysfunction in case of sepsis, and that will cause the total right side, the high plasma concentration of drug. So issue is that there is a low plasma concentration of drug when there is a volume of distribution increase, but the bacteria required a higher MIC to kill. So two issues are there together. So when the low plasma concentration is there and the high MIC becomes, then the treatment failure chances are more. The antibiotic resistant chances become more. So this is one of the most critical finding in the sepsis case that we must take into consideration while the selecting the dosage regime for the treatment of particular patient. Now next is that we have to give the drug by any route. Most of the time, if it is the serious patient, we will give the parenteral dose. It may be bolus dose, bolus fraction in 2 doses, 15-minute infusion, 120-minute infusion, or sometimes first oral dose, slow oral dose. So you find the different consultation coming, different pre-consultation coming. They are nothing new, but just to show that, because ultimately we are coming to the stage where we want to correlate the drug pharmacodynamic with the kinetic process. So that means for how long the drug remains above the MIC level, that will play important part in the route of administration of drug. And how, whether you are giving continuous infusion, intravenous bolus, or the slow infusion. So all will play important part in deciding what is the PK/PD indices. Now when we talk about the pharmacokinetic, typically if you see the left side, we typically do this dose response curve, dose effect curve, and right side is for the dose effect curve for the antibiotics. That means if you see the red line, that is there is no killing or no growth of the bacteria, but at a particular time when the concentration increase, the bacterial killing increase and the number of colony burden comes down. So if you look at the dose response curve of the antibiotic, it is just reverse side, mirror image of the, which typically we go to the dose response curve of the any drug in the other side. Now most of the time, one of the most critical part to support for the dynamic part is doing the MIC. That is basically quantifying the bacterial susceptibility to drug, and it is very simple techniques are used, and static antibiotic concentration is used, and it's based on two-fold dilution, and then after 24 hours they see the growth and the susceptibility of it may be the disk diffusion, growth, dilution or E-test are normally done. But I will say as a pharmacologist, this has a lot of limitations. If you look at it here, it is a fixed concentration of the antibiotic in the disk or in the growth. But when you give the antibiotic to human substance, it is changing dynamically concentration over the period of time. You give a dose, then before giving next dose, there is cut concentration. So this is not reflecting in the MIC being done. So this MIC procedure basically neglecting the dynamic change in growth and susceptibility to the different concentration changing in vivo. So that means MIC is not a very good parameter for when you see the concentration effect relationship. But still it is one of the very good denominator for all PK/PD diseases, because it is one of the very simple methodology to find out whether the antibiotic is able to kill the bacteria or not. At least by a simple method. Yeah, there are number of other faster methodology are available now. PCR. Now, one of the most important part to see that the dynamic process is, if you look at the curve, you will see the gold curve is coming down, and the slope of this coming down showing the sensitivity of its bacteria, because now the growth of bacteria is coming down. If you see the vertical scale, it's maximal, it's minimal, and 0 is the time where there is no bacterial growth or killing. So that becomes the MIC. So MIC is this, and if you MIC 10, MIC 100 will be left side, 10 MIC will be right side, 100 MIC will be right side. So if you see the three drugs together, one is a dotted line, its slope is a half, 0.05. So that means if you increase the concentration, the killing will be not that fast. But with the drug which is the hatch line, if you slightly increase the drug